Hello, and welcome to the Old Farm Bus Podcast. This is the back of the bus session.
Hello and welcome to the Old Farm Bus Back of the Bus Sessions podcast. Today I've got a fantastic talent on the bus. I'm just going to dive straight in and welcome Jerub to the bus. Welcome aboard. Yeah!
Yes, Jerub.
Yeah. Do you like the energy in that?
Love it.
Thank you so much, man. Now, how are you keeping up in this, I was going to say weird and wonderful, but it's probably best to just say weird time.
Yeah, I guess it is weird and wonderful. There's good things as well. I'm doing well.
Are you doing all right
well,
in it?
Yeah.
Because as an artist, we've had to all change our method and how we position ourselves.
100%.
Did you panic to start, or were you just going, no, I'm in, I know what to do?
No, I didn't panic because everyone was in the same boat.
You don't strike me as a panicker, ever.
No, sometimes I panic. No, I didn't panic because I guess everyone was experiencing the same thing. Mm-hmm. So I just had to quickly adapt. And I think the biggest thing is with COVID, when it comes to being an artist, is changing your expectation. Because I feel like every artist wants to achieve this and achieve this by this deadline, and have these amount of songs out by this time and blah blah blah. But in COVID, some things aren't achievable.
Yeah.
So you just have to reshape your expectation.
How old are you?
I'm 22.
22. Wow, you're a conscious 22-year-old. You've got a lot going on up there. I can't remember what I was doing at 22, but I think it was eating dirt or something. Dude. I mean, for me, I was a bit worried because I had that mentality with my music. I thought, I've got to be achieving, I've got to be putting out,
Sure.
Especially the way that social media is now. You think you put something out and then you leave it a few weeks even,
Right.
and then it's gone.
Right.
And I had that neurosis about me.
Wow.
But I think that COVID kind of slowed me down and just made me appreciate creating and just making for the love of it, that I lost for a bit because I got given poetry and spoken word on a moment of need, and then it pushed me down this path of cathartism. I felt beautiful from doing it. It was expressing myself. But then I don't know if you've been to this point, but the ugly nature started to come through a little bit with my creating. I'd be performing on stage and my ego maybe got embellished in some ways, and then I was just going for the next gig and the next thing and trying to push and I got a bit lost in that, in honesty.
Wow.
And COVID kind of slapped me in the face a little bit and said, oi lad, get back to making, collaborating, and enjoying it.
For sure.
It definitely did that to me. Have you been on that journey or path at all with your art?
I think everyone has. I think an artist would be lying if they said, I don't care about achieving, and I only fully care about the art, don't care about achieving anything. I think what I found is the tension to be managed, because for me, I see the streams and the people and the amount of people as a almost a measure sometimes.
Value.
Yes, like a measure of people, because for me, I'm like, I want my music to connect with people. That's the ultimate aim. So I'm like, I want music that connects with people, and how many streams is it's a numerical telling of how many people it's connected with. Yeah, basically. But the flip side to that, so that's a good thing, because the aim is to connect with people. You're connecting with more people, the more streams you have or whatever. The flip side to that is that there's no number that you will ever get to that will make you happy. And that's just the way I think we're designed, like, because I see it almost as a well in the desert. You are chasing it and you see it and it's close, you think it's close, but when you get there it's actually further away than you think. You keep on,
I mean, because you're hitting good numbers now, if we're talking on numerics and stuff.
Sure.
I mean, to what I perceive as good numbers.
Yeah, I mean, it's relative.
Exactly, and it's down to perspectives.
Facts.
So my looking of that would be, wow, look at what Jerub's music's creating. Look how many people it's reaching out to. How incredible is that?
Wow.
you know, when you started, you weren't getting those numbers, presumably.
Sure.
So do you feel that then, how you just described it in that metaphor of getting to the well and then it keeps pushing and it goes further, and then now you're probably ready to go, when's my millie coming? When am I getting the mill?
Well, like I said, it's got to be a tension to be managed, and you have to, just like any, you have to keep reminding yourself why.
What a lovely attitude.
You have to keep reminding yourself, why am I here? Why am I doing this? Am I doing this for the numbers? Or am I doing this for the people? Like,
yeah. Wow.
A friend of mine always quotes another friend who says, don't write for charts, write for hearts.
Oh,
you know?
Okay. That's going somewhere in here.
And it sounds
wow.
It sounds a little bit, you know, fluffy, but it's true. Like, because if that's more, for me, that's something better to hold on to than
I will not forget that. I honestly promise you
that's
that.
Good.
I
it's
will
something to remember.
Recite that to people.
Right.
I mean, yeah, I've definitely got friends that even now, so we talk, and I feel I'm trying to explain to them maybe their attitudes are just going in the wrong direction a little bit.
Sure.
And something as what you said, fluffy, but as simple putting as don't write for charts, write for hearts, can really speak boundaries, can't it?
100%.
I remember I've got friends, the Illingworth I always talk about, and Martin's been a huge mentor of my life.
Wow,
and
great guy.
I'm in the car, long destinations we're going, like down the M1, hours away, and I'm trying to explain something, how I'm feeling, my mind, what I've been thinking. And after about an hour of me speaking, blabbling, he'll summarise it in a quote. And I'm like, yeah, pretty much, that's what I wanted to say. He said something really poetic recently. He said, was it close your eyes to see things clear? And I thought, oh, that's a lyric in there, isn't it?
100%.
Do you want to patent that? You can,
I'll take it, Martin. I'll give him 0.5%.
He deserves it all.
That's a great lyric, 100.
Have you been on many podcasts before? You listen to many podcasts? What's your podcasting experience?
I listen to some podcasts. I don't listen to loads. And have I been on a podcast? I have been on a podcast before.
Have you?
Yeah, I've been on a couple.
Cool. What were they?
A couple of my friends do podcasts. My soon-to-be brother-in-law, actually, Jordan, his name is Jordan Ritchie. He does a really cool podcast. So I went on his podcast.
You can give it a plug. Where can I see that?
Just type in Jordan Ritchie podcast.
Oh, really? It's his name podcast?
Yeah, Jordan Ritchie podcast.
Didn't even think of a cool
that's what
name.
it is. I think it's like, don't quote me. Try it. And he does another one called Like Father, Like Son, which is pretty cool as well. And then another friend of mine, Arabella, she does a podcast, and I've been on that a couple of times.
If you were going down a list for podcasts, is there anything in particular you'd be looking for, like you'd like to listen into?
I've been interested in like leadership podcasts recently. There's a guy, this pastor in America named Chad Veach. He does a really good leadership podcast. Another guy named Craig Rochelle. I've just been interested in listening to the way leaders think and how to. I guess leadership is about leading yourself and leading people. So it's everyone's a leader in some way. I think whether you're a dad, whether you're a husband or a mother or a teacher. You have influence over people, and leadership is influence. So I like listening to leadership podcasts.
Do they speak a lot on different styles and types of leadership?
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, and they just break down things that you would ordinarily overthink, because you see things as a whole most of the time, and sometimes you need people to break it down for you, otherwise you get a little bit lost.
I completely agree. I mean, and with this podcast in particular, I like to ask my guests to give them 5 things before the podcast.
Sure.
I got your 5 things, and they were very musically influenced. So I'm excited to dive into that part of the
Awesome.
Podcast.
I kind of didn't know if it was like supposed to be music or just anything.
That's why I started this podcast. I just wanted to learn, honestly, and I learn best from conversations and meeting people and just vibing and getting an energy about someone. When I'm confused, I've been known to make mistakes and put stuff out there, but I won't write a status. I try and do a video, and not because I want my ego to be seen and people to watch what I'm doing, but you can see my eyes. I'm trying to be authentic, or say, I don't get what's going on at the minute. Can someone help me or explain to me? So
I love that, man. That's great. I think you come across as someone who's really authentic.
Thank you, man.
Genuinely
I
yourself,
really. Yeah, if I could
great.
come over there and high five you right now, I'd be doing that.
Yeah, for sure. Let me just take my coat off.
Get comfy in the back of that bus,
Hey,
man.
Back of the bus sessions.
But the one thing that I found very interesting on your 5 things about you was where you're from. So you were born in Nigeria.
Yeah, born and raised, I
Born
guess.
and raised. You started getting me into the Will Smith song then.
What's that?
Born and raised in the
Oh,
playground.
yeah. West Philadelphia. Yeah. Great TV series.
Can you dive me into a bit of vision of that then? Can you paint me a picture of childhood?
Yeah, for sure. So I was born in Lagos City, Nigeria. It's probably the most populated city in Africa. It's probably the most populated city in Nigeria for sure. So born in Lagos City. My dad was a lawyer when I was born. So he was doing I think property law, and then we moved to a place called Delta State when I was 2, I think 3, 4, I don't know. in Nigeria, my dad got a different job, also in law, and then at the age of 10, my parents were like, okay, we're gonna move to the UK.
Wow.
And so
with a bit of a story behind it, did they give you reasoning for that, or just?
Yeah, it was mostly because my mum always wanted to, and they felt like it would be better opportunities, a better life, better education, I guess, all that kind of thing, just better way of life. My dad actually still lives there, but my mum lives here with us.
Oh, so did he come over to the UK at all?
No, he never moved.
This is an interesting story, mate. Okay. I mean, because funny you said education, because I did want to ask you about the education there. My knowledge of Nigeria comes from documentaries.
Okay.
I've seen Louis Theroux. But where did you grow up at? Where's the city?
I was born in Lagos, but
Lagos.
I lived in Asaba in Delta State.
Lagos is where Louis Theroux goes in, but it's the Law and Order one.
Okay.
And he's just showing it was quite lawless, and this is to my screen perspective of what I've seen on the TV. But when I went travelling, I did a year in South Africa, and I stayed in Pretoria for the most of it because I was working in a sanctuary. But after I realised they weren't treating the monkeys the way I wanted them treated, they were giving them marshmallows, chocolate, biscuits. I thought, that is not a monkey diet. That does not add up. And when they kept getting cancers and dying really early on, I thought, well, yeah, no shit. Right. So I decided to get out. I didn't fancy that.
Sure.
And I went on this thing called a Baz bus.
Okay.
But it'd take you from Johannesburg all the way up and down the coast, so to Cape Town to Johannesburg, and I spent about 6 months going up and down the coast. But I got to go into a lot of the schools and see the systems. Maybe they went and showed us the best ones.
Right.
But as we went in and was trying to work in these schools, what my mum, I think, thought I was going to learn when I went to sort of maybe third world countries or industries, what she'd see of them, would be I'd come back home with a deep appreciation of how good I've got it and how lucky I am to live with my privilege in this world. And I saw pain, I saw suffering, I saw dead bodies. But another thing that I saw and visioned in these smaller communities, I was staying in a place called Bulangula, the smaller coastal towns, and it was thriving communities, like really beautiful. And you go into the school and they'd be singing and dancing and relaxed, and then dinner breaks lasted 2 or 3 hours, come back and learn again. What was it like in Nigeria, the education system? Because that's my perspective of what I saw for 6 months.
For sure. Yeah, that sounds like a really cool experience, actually. I think, obviously, in Africa, there'll be a huge range, because Africa is a huge continent.
I think it was 87 miles away from South Africa is Nigeria.
Is it?
87 hours away.
I was going to say miles.
Hours. Yeah.
That sounds
Is it?
very close.
No, definitely not. Because we wanted to do, I thought I might just stay out here, but my visa ran out. Of
course.
But I did want to do a drive.
Yeah.
I got told not to in the end.
Sure.
Might not come back.
Yeah, I mean the education system in Africa, in Nigeria, ranges.
Okay.
So I went to a private school, which used a British syllabus. So that would be different to if you went to a public school, and also depending on what area you live in. So the range is huge. I can't speak for all of Nigeria, but my experience in primary school was, it was pretty good. It was good. Like I never felt I was missing out on anything. What I would say is, I think in Nigeria, the system is very competitive. So you get really competitive from a very young age. So I remember being in what would be year 1 here, maybe reception year 1, and you do every single year you do a test, an exam, a few exams: maths, science, English, those 3 really, and you get graded every single year from a young age, and you get graded from top of the class, so first place to last place.
Okay.
So someone has to get last place, and someone's going to get first place. And I remember always coming second. Like I never came first. Like let's say in a class of 30 or 40, I come second every year. And just remember it being super competitive, and if I did well, my parents would be really happy. You know, I'd get like prizes and whatever. If I didn't do very well, obviously wouldn't. So I'd probably say that's what's the thing I remember the most. I remember having a good time. I remember like great assemblies. I remember like sports days and having a lot of fun. But the thing I remember the most is the competitive nature of
if
schools.
ever I speak in any ignorances, please do just correct me, because I've just got ideas of how I imagine it to be. And another thing you always get told, like Nigerian education and parents are quite sharp or authoritative. Did you feel that when you were in Nigeria? Were your mum and dad wanted you to do well and succeed, so were they quite sharp with you in any way?
Sharp, I don't know if I use the word sharp. I think they're strong.
Yeah, that's a lovely word.
I think they're really strong.
Nicer image than sharp,
authoritative is a good word to use. They're strong, authoritative, and I think behind it is a lot of care. You know, because my mum didn't have loads of opportunities growing up. Like she lost her dad when she was younger, so she had to fight for a lot. My mum is the most inspiring person I've ever met in my whole life. She's got 2 masters and is working on a PhD. She's lived by herself. She's done management. She's basically done everything and is a mum of 4. And
wow,
she's done it all by herself and with my dad also. But she's a really strong woman. So I get it. You know, when my parents are really strong with their idea of, what they want me to do, I get it. But I think it's a stereotype, but it's not a untrue stereotype, where you get many Nigerian parents who just really want their kids to succeed, so much so that they're super strong, super passionate about it. But I would say that in comparison to many of my Nigerian colleagues, I was going to say colleagues, no, that's not the word, my Nigerian brothers and sisters who are from my country, my parents actually allow me and my siblings a lot of independence, which is more rare than not.
Okay. And that setup, you say your dad never been to the UK then?
No, he has.
He has. Oh, so to visit.
Yeah.
But he lives in Nigeria.
Yeah.
And your mum lives in the UK with you guys. Why did they choose to go in that setup then?
Yeah, they just have a... I don't want to talk too much about it.
Yeah.
But my dad just has a great job.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay. To jump into this side though, because they've put a lot of emphasis on wanting you to do well and moved you to the UK. Now you picked a career in music or a creativity. It's not always the safest of options.
True.
Maybe.
True.
But you're bloody talented.
you.
Some where you hear your voice and you go, oh, wow. Seriously, well, and I really do mean that. That comes deep from the heart. And I heard that on your latest track, Feel It, and this is why you're here today, because I went on a bit of a journey and quest to find you. But, not too hard nowadays, thanks to Insta.
The old internet.
Can I just ask quickly how you think they feel on you picking that course then of creativity and art? Would they have liked a more academic route, maybe?
I guess at the moment I'm also studying, so I'm in my final year of university.
Bro, at Notts, you know?
Yeah, I study at the University of Nottingham, so I'm in my final year. So at the moment it doesn't consume me enough for them to be worried or for them to, and I think it'll be something we'd have to talk about eventually. And I'm the kind of person who, like, I love doing a lot of things, you know. So music is a huge one of them, but it's not the only thing.
Really? Got a lot of escapisms then, or?
Yeah, not escapisms, but probably more passions.
Passion. I intertwine them.
Yeah, well, sometimes they are intertwined, to be fair. Yeah, so in terms of music as a career, I mean, I would love to continue to do it, because I think I'm supposed to be doing it. But for me, it's not like I'm not what I do. And I think some people get it crossed sometimes because we get so passionate about what we do that it becomes who we are.
Have you seen the movie Soul? Have you watched that?
I literally watched that last week.
How good was that?
Amazing film.
You've just, again, put the whole of that film into that
that
quote
is
there.
a beautiful
I'm not
film.
what I do.
That is exactly.
Guys, if you listen to anything we say today, go watch that film.
Watch it. It's an amazing
I
film.
wonder if Disney will plug us for this.
I wonder if we'll get sponsored by Disney. But definitely watch that film because it's such.
That's so true.
I wasn't expecting. I had no idea what to expect when I'm watching it. I didn't read about it. I didn't watch a trailer. I just started watching it.
I did the exact same.
Really?
I did it on purpose to not know what it was about.
Yeah, for
because
sure.
I've heard things that it was good, and that's all I wanted. I thought, if it's good, I'm just going to get involved. So
Exactly.
me and the family sit together, popcorn on, and I did not expect to cry about 4 times.
For real.
Just kept punching me.
Yeah, man.
From the side, from the left.
It's so deep and it's so real because I think most people go through that because we all want to do something that fulfills us. But we can't become what we do. Otherwise we won't be fulfilled. Like, we have to know who we are in terms of identity separate to what we do. And I think that's one of the things that really helps me when it comes to music, when it comes to life. Music is like, if I never could do, if I lost my voice forever, God forbid, but if that happened, am I going to crack on with life? 100%.
Yeah.
100%. I will crack on and I'll still be happy.
What an attitude.
And that's okay. Do you know what I mean? But
I make snippets of this podcast, and that's definitely being one. And I'm going to play it on repeat and just remind myself.
Sure, but it's not. But it's true, and I think people should know that, because otherwise we just spend our whole life searching for fulfillment, and we just don't get it because you can't. I don't think you can find full fulfillment in what you do.
I mean, it really is them moments in life where the wholesome sides of things come to play. The family, the love, the connection, the
100.
friends, all built together. And I completely agree, as an artist, that I have managed to make it more than a passion. It became a job for me. So I was going to schools and teaching poetry. But I had a mum of my life who is that authoritative figure, but you've got to be something, you've got to make something, you've got to become something. And it's a lot of pressure.
Sure.
And you get this panic on. And I'm not saying there's not a good attitude in that, because there's something in there that she wanted me to do well. True. In her feeling. But I did let the pressure build up. So when I went down the route of poetry and education, I let that become me. And anywhere I go to parties or meet people, hi, I'm Mikey, I'm a poet. Do you know what I mean? It's sort of my identity.
Got you.
And I got lost in that sort of facade for a while. But the moment, and not just from that film, but people of true nature who spoke to me on a soul level and said, listen, man, you're so much more than that. Look at the world outside here. You live on a farm as well. You've got a bit of land. You could go for a walk. You've got a family now.
100%.
And those messages really do need to ring through to some people that are struggling at the minute. And
especially in COVID, there's a lot of people who've lost their jobs, and it's really sad. They've lost the thing that they do that they would have based their whole identity on prior to this.
Agree.
And you know, a lot of people are struggling, and then it's not just the financial thing, it's now the mental side of things. People struggling mentally because, you know, when your identity is so attached to what you do and then it's stripped away, I can imagine it will be a struggle to deal with it.
Where did you grow this thinking from? Have you got a bit of a spiritual side, or is it through music? Do you listen to lyricism? How have you been ingrained with beauty?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a journey. I'm not perfect in any way, shape or form. Like I said before, everything's attention to be managed, and you must consistently check yourself and, you know, remind yourself.
It's a dangerous game when you think you're a finished article, isn't
100%.
it? Hey, if I've done the learning now, forget that. Oh, here's another ego slap.
Someone once said to me, the moment you stop learning is the moment you stop being relevant. And it's the moment you stop growing.
I completely agree. Yeah.
So if you want to stay relevant, if you want to keep growing, you got to keep learning. And yeah, I'm not perfect whatsoever.
And to not want to have all the answers, I don't want to know it all anymore. I don't want to have all the answers, because it's again a lot of pressure to be the answer bearer, the answer holder.
Yeah.
But if you go, I think I heard a good quote the other day, and it said, the more you know, the less you understand.
Wow.
And it really set me in my place again. And I'm on this, I've bought a treadmill at the minute, you know, COVID times. I put a bit of timber on. Listen,
I need to get my running back on,
to be honest. But I've started looking at YouTube channels and looking at a bit of history now, science, just things I'd never thought of before, but trying to find interesting mentors and cool people that catch my gaze. And listening to them, and I just think, wow, this is so exciting that I can study anything in my own accord, in my own home, and just find it fascinating. So it's good to not get in a trap of, oh, I've got it now, I know it. In spiritual thinking, in education, in anything, always be open. And I can really feel that in you, honestly.
100,
it's such a nice vibe.
100. You seem like a very joyful person. That's good.
I've been through a lot of pain, man. Yeah, I'm 27 going on 28.
Okay.
And my starting in life was horrifically bullied, to be honest. It was not a nice area. As I told you before, Ripley is sort of where the BNP and EDL formed, so you get a small town mentality down here. And my mum's very liberal, because her dad and my granddad was from Persia, so he was the town doctor, and people really liked him because he just fixed everybody and was a lovely, bubbly character. I didn't meet him, but I heard so much about him. And that made me have this vision of togetherness and kind of, I just want everyone as one. I understood it in that way because I've got a liberal family. You go to school and then you see these sort of segregation, and I was a big kid because I was a nan kid. I used to going to her house, getting fed all the time with a little bell. There's it's time for Marmite again on toast, big white thick bread. And I'd get bullied there and I wouldn't understand it because I just thought, aren't we all just part of this community together? And that was a small age. I remember thinking that. Why am I being outcast for this? Why is she being outcast for that? Why is it? And it just didn't make sense to me. So I've become a bit of a social butterfly. But between that smile, I had a very suicidal attitude and depressed life, to be honest. So growing up, I decided to go travelling because I just thought I need to get out of here or it's going to end in tears and not a nice way. And I just did so much soul searching and trying to work out things. So I go from Buddhism to Hinduism to all the isms you can imagine, and again, what I've tried to do, and I've got the golden rule on my arm here, but is just dissect and piece things that work for me and that fit my moral compass and build one up over time. But it's been quite treacherous, and it's been a long journey, and I am a bubbly, happy character, but it's all come from a source of pain. So I just try and my driving factor is to not feel that bad anymore, not be in that place again. So that sort of put me through to the person I am today, I suppose.
Well, that's beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you, matey. But that, again, why I connected with you and enjoyed what you were about is because it came through in your lyricism, particularly Feel It, and we can get onto that. And we've come here to fulfill a purpose, and that's doing your track.
No way.
It's to meet mine.
A good chat.
But definitely how you voice yourself and write your lyricism and come across. I loved your interview or Instagram live you did. You're just very real and trying to work things out. But has it been a journey?
Yeah.
It's been a constant.
100%. We're talking about Feel It.
Yeah, well, just you and how you because Feel It, you were talking very much about what you wanted out of that track.
Yeah.
And how important the lyrics were for you. And I was listening in for the lyrics after that, trying to see where you're coming from, and it was absolutely stunning. You're quite metaphorical, but also to the point, which is harmonious.
Wow.
And I was just thinking how you become this artist, because you see in the, sorry for talking so much,
do you think,
but
man?
you see in maybe like a mainstream line or anything, people can say quite phatic language of trivial nothingness sometimes.
Wow.
But you want to go further, you want to go deeper and explore the mind and explore you.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when it comes to music, like, I'm still figuring it out. I think I haven't been doing music for a long time. I kind of made a decision to become an artist when I dropped my first single in 2019, April 2019. Wow. So I'm still figuring, and that wasn't even like I'd been sitting on it for a year. It was more like I'd written it, worked on it for a month. A friend of mine was like, help me produce it. Produced it, didn't know it was going to do well. It did really well. So that was great. But it wasn't like I figured out who I want to be fully as an artist. I kind of just know who I am as a person and the things that are important to me. And like you said, I do want to be quite real, because I think a lot of things are masked in the world, and I think I just like talking about real stuff. But that doesn't mean sad. It just means real, because real stuff could be happy, real stuff could be joyful. So I kind of just like writing songs that talk about real things, that really express, that connect with people. It doesn't have to be necessarily about me, but just things that connect with people. And
that's that saying of real recognize real.
Sure.
And for me, anyone is free to express themselves in any which way they want. And what's enjoyed is all down to perception, whoever wants to enjoy what.
True.
But definitely for me, when somebody's speaking their truth and their honest point of self, I'm there. I've steered totally towards you, and now you're my number one Spotify playlist.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
You're in the top 5 of songs I've heard for a long time now. Wow. But that was the authenticity creeping through. So it is powerful, and Feel It was. Let's go on to that a bit. Did that just come out from letting your inner dialogue just speak for itself?
Honestly, it was. So the song came on the back of. So in 2020, obviously, 2020, the craziest year. I think everyone would agree. But one of the biggest, most monumental things in the craziness of last year was the reignition of the Black Lives Matter movement, which was sparked by the murder of George Floyd. And not just that, actually, the murder of Ahmaud Arbery, and then George Floyd, and then Breonna Taylor, and just a bunch of names. There's a long list. But what that meant was as a black person, I think, I don't know if it's probably been talked about, because it's been talked about a lot, but we talk about the injustice, and we talk about, you know, how unfair it is, and it's really sad, but I don't think we dive deep enough into the psychology of how it affects a black person, not just a black person in America, just a black person in general, because it's complex. I don't think it's as simple as, oh, it's sad. You know, it's a black person. Like when I saw George Floyd died, I couldn't watch it. Like I was 30 seconds in, I was like, oh, I can't watch this. I'm just like crying in my bed, like this is crazy. I can't. How do I process this? Because it's a lot to process. Because you can't help but see yourself as them. You can't help but put yourself in that picture. And what it does is it sparks feelings. It sparks past hurt. It sparks my own experiences of racism. It sparks just loads of memories and different feelings and a lot of complexities. So I was at a place where I was processing, but I was just in the process of processing, and I was just trying to figure out, what do I feel like? What are all the feelings that all these complex feelings? How am I going to process this? And I sat down with a friend of mine over Zoom, and he's a white guy. He's a really good guy. He's really wise, and he's a writer. He's a songwriter. We didn't really sit to songwrite. We were just like, let's catch up. Let's talk about it. Let's process together. And we just started talking, started offloading, and I started sharing, you know, just that space of just blurting out what was on my mind, helping me process. And by the end of our time, we'd written that song.
What, on that chat?
Yeah, on Zoom.
So it wasn't set out to be a writing mission or anything?
No, not at all.
And on that one chat, you pretty much had the skeleton of the song?
Yeah, I mean, I think the song was fully finished apart from the bridge. Like, we revisited the bridge.
How long were you on there for, man? How long was this Zoom
Probably
for?
like 3-4 hours. Yeah, we were chatting for a while.
Your Wi-Fi got blitzed that day.
Honestly, my Wi-Fi was not doing well.
Yeah,
sure.
Not thanking you.
Not at all. But it was worth it.
Wow, what a story. So, genuinely, because it's that sort of known saying, isn't it? It came to me, and a piece of art sort of just comes through you. You're the I don't know how you say it, but the driver of it. But it's just coming through. Yeah,
and 100%. And I think there's loads of those moments. Sorry, if we allow them to happen, if we allow ourselves to, you know, get to that place of feeling. And most of the songs I write or have written haven't been necessarily from a place of me trying to process something I'm currently experiencing. Yeah, it's usually in hindsight. It's usually about someone else, or about a topic, or about something. It's not necessarily about me, and in this moment I'm processing it right now. So that was probably the first song that's ever helped me process my own feelings in a moment.
Powerful. I feel a very similar way, though, in the best stuff I've ever written is very much when it's either been in a raw place and I wrote it then and there because I needed it. Like I told you before, the first poem I ever wrote was about my friend that got killed by a knife crime incident. I've got a phone call, took the day off, and just went wild for it. Yeah. And it was so cathartic, and it just kept spilling onto the page. But again, I took that sort of lesson there and learning and tried to channel it in times where I felt that excruciating either pain or pure happiness and bliss before. But I've took all of it and just gone, right, I'm going to really try and channel that emotion, and it just comes out and out and out. And I thought, right, next line, where's it? I'm not even thinking of the rhyme. I just think, right, I'm going to write it all out and then start to piece it together. But sometimes I just keep it as it is. I just go, you know what, there's no point of editing this and butchering it. I'm just going to let it flow and come out. Yeah. And I remember those feelings. Yeah. So that sometimes moment in your art where it's a bit more contrived or saturated, when you go, right, I'm a poet now, I may as well get to some writing. Right, Chrissy, can you get the kettle on? Okay, I'm going to sit down now. Right, what do we write about today? Oh dear.
Yeah, for sure.
100%. And
I think it's both though, because you know, I think some people, I've got a lot of friends who write, like you said, therapy. It's almost like therapeutic writing. It's, you write to process, you write to process, to feel. But there's also like writing, you know, like there's writers who that's their profession, so you have to write.
Completely.
You have to find something to write about, and that's probably why we get a lot of songs about nothing. But also, I also think I think if you open your eyes long enough, you can find something real to write about.
Completely.
Even if you're not feeling it in the moment.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the one thing, when I got writer's block, let's call it, and I was truly struggling, and when I was writing, it felt contrived, it didn't feel real, I took a moment away, and maybe let's call it 3-4 months. But in them months, I started living life again. So that sort of soul thing we were talking about before, going out with the family, being together and just living. And because I was living, I started having things to document again and write about. And that moment where you discovered a pen and you pick it up, you go, oh my God, I've been missing out on this. And that can be powerful, but you've got to know who you are as an artist and what you want. Because to me now, I've been doing it a while, maybe like 3-4 years, been on the Not Seeing, Mimosa Mouth days and all these guys, the Maze days.
Sure.
Living it all.
Maze.
Oh, the Maze days, man. Amazing. Just, you know, I've gigged and I've festivaled, and not to say I'm not going to do that again, but I've experienced it and love it to its core. But now I'd see myself as more of a passion project, and I just really do enjoy every so often we get a project on the go. I remember that nostalgic vibe. I get on it, I start writing, I select a beat that we really want to write to. I collaborate a lot now, and I really enjoy that process.
Nice.
But it's definitely changed with me. And when it was an occupation and a job, I remember the need to, it is a job, so take it seriously, sit down, get your coffee and do your writing, because it's training a muscle, isn't it?
Very true.
You've got to build it up. But knowing who you are as an artist and what you want out of your artistry is pretty integral, and you can align yourself to that, I suppose.
100%. 100%.
Matey. So, with Feel It, are you feeling it on how it's doing at the minute? Are you happy with... Was it beautiful release? You got to say what you wanted to say. You put it out there in the ether now, and it's doing pretty well.
Yeah.
Are you happy at the minute, or are you going to stop pushing it?
Yeah, I'm always happy. Like, I'm happy. I was speaking to my manager, who's a great friend of mine. We were just talking about how do we measure success? Because especially with the music industry, a lot of things aren't in your control when it comes to the things that people will look at as success, which is streams and you know, radio plays and all of that. And a lot of those things just rely on the right person listening at the right time and liking it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's not in your control. So you have to measure success as the things that you can control. And for us, it was, have we written the best song that we possibly could? Yeah. Have we worked on it to the best way? Are we happy with it? Have we, you know, sent it to as many people as we possibly can? Have we promoted it as well as we can? Everything that's in our control to do, have we done it? Yes. So I would say it's been a success, because I'm happy, definitely, and I've been mad overwhelmed with just the response. Like, it's probably my best release so far, just because I think there's so many people messaging, letting me know how much it's helped them, and how real they found it, how much they've connected to it. And I'm like, yeah, that's the goal. You know?
Have you had any real opening conversations from it then with people?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Like, a friend of mine messaged me saying, you know, that it really helped them process a lot of racism, as in the topic of, you know, racial injustice, and it really helped them, you know, connect and empathize.
Because I must admit, for myself, in that time of Black Lives Matter, I was really confused, and I didn't want to make it a thing about me, but I didn't know where to put my mind and vision it. And you get a very short-sighted view, don't you? After I've been travelling and doing my thing, I just think, oh, racism's over,
Sure.
or we're all living as one now.
Sure.
And then something huge comes out, and then the Black Lives Matter movement happens. Well, it has been happening, but embellished and huge. And I just didn't believe it. I thought we'd sort of got over this, because I've filtered my social media with good people and compassionate souls, and just give me that view every day of people saying cool stuff and creating art. And then when that happened, and then you start to see this shift and divide so huge, and exposed people that had racist feelings or racist thoughts and racist attitudes, I thought, have we just gone back in time? What has happened? Where has this been?
Yeah.
Because I blinded myself from my social media and people I was around so much.
Yeah.
I couldn't understand it, so I was putting stuff out a lot of the time just to say, how does people feel around this? Because I felt we started arguing over the semantics, you know, all lives matter, Black Lives Matter conversations, and people that the media cleverly manipulated it to turn it into teams and scoring. And I don't know, it was a vicious time. So legitimately mean this, your song recently, and as you said about writing and then coming back to stuff and then being able to speak your best thing, the Black Lives Matter moment was very sticky and confusing and painful. The last week I heard your song, and I really mean this, man, it touched a part of me that kind of was like, oh, that's what I wanted to say. That's what I felt. What, and it really did. I've well up thinking about it, because it was powerful, really powerful.
Thank you.
And I made mistakes in that time. And I honestly, I'm truthful, I didn't want to turn it into a thing of me, but I wanted to turn it into a thing of trying to get it. But your thing was saying to me, just feel, just get where it's coming from, get this thing. And that's what I did in that moment of listening to that track. It was a amazing thing you've created.
Thank you. Thanks for saying that. That's really candid of you. I agree. I think in that time, it was very, very muddy. Yeah. It's unclear, and it's very complex. A lot of the things going on, especially with social media. And I think, the message of the song for me is, it's not a political statement. It's more of a human statement, you know. Beautiful. Where, you know, I don't care what you think about politics or whatever. I mean, first of all, the Black Lives Movement isn't necessarily about politics. It's more about humanity. But I'm not going to go there. I'm like, when it comes to racism, like, you can't, I don't think you can, how do I say it? I don't think you can fully understand racism ever, but I don't think you can even begin to, if it's all happening here. It can't happen in your head, because, like you said, we'll argue over semantics, we'll argue over little things, but when it happens here, in your heart, it's like, boom, the penny drops. Now I get it. Yeah. And I don't think, I think my song is like, hey, stop trying to piece it together all here, and just empathize for a moment. Yeah. And then it'll happen here. Yeah. But it's got to happen here first. Because, like, I found even, like, I follow this guy named, what's his name now? I forget his name now. He's a really good, he's an active, he's active against racial injustice in America, like Sean King, that's his name. Huge. And I follow him because he posts constantly, like, really vivid, like, racial injustice in America and in the world. And even for me, I'm like, can I keep watching this? And sometimes I feel bad because I scroll past because my heart can't deal with it today. And I've found that I've had to obviously I have to be wise about it, but I need to actually make an effort to feel it, I need to make an effort not just to scroll past, not just to, think it's not happening, because you'd be surprised what you think isn't happening if you turn a blind eye to it. It's like we don't think it's happening, but it's because we're not looking, because we don't want to look. And there's a difference between unity, like real unity, like every color coming together, and the appearance of unity because of the current culture. Because the current culture is against racism, but it wasn't always. And I'm not saying, and they're both not true unity, but it's just now it's condemned more. So we have an appearance of unity. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
So
I do.
I'm not surprised that around, and it's not as bad as it was, maybe, but it's like when people say there's, and I'm going on a tangent now, but like when people say there's no racism in the UK, of course there is. Of course there is. Like people get racially attacked on a daily basis in the UK. Of course there is.
Can I ask, do you know when you came over from Nigeria and you were going into your first schools, settling in Nottingham, did you experience it? Did you feel it of a muchness?
Yeah, I would say that my school, the biggest thing I felt was exclusion. And that wasn't necessarily racism. It was more, I felt different. I felt like I was the only black guy in my class. One of the only black people in the whole school. And when you come from a different country and you have like a proper accent, you look different to everyone, you sound different to everyone, it makes you feel other. And there was no effort to try and minimize that. But that's probably because they didn't have an awareness of it. I can't remember when I was in primary school ever feeling racially attacked, but I have been, like I remember walking with my fiance like through Attenborough Park in Notts, and we're just walking with some friends, and this guy looks at me and he goes, "Get out." And that's like happened a few times.
Wow.
So racism does exist in the UK. It's closer than we think. And just because you don't experience it doesn't mean it's not there.
I mean, you couldn't have summarised it better in a song and in the title of a song, but Feel It, to me. When you were having that conversation with your friend, what's your friend, the writer called? Isaac. When you and Isaac were speaking, were you sort of bumbling about with this experience you were having, and then I want people to feel it? Did that come into play and then it sort of took from there?
Yeah, I think it started off with me processing that I was trying subconsciously to numb it.
Yeah.
Because it's easier to numb it. It's easier, just like any pain, I think. Like any emotional pain, you don't want to feel it. You want to find things that would cover it up, masquerade it, things that would stop you from feeling it, because it's actually easier to escape than it is to go through the process. And I was saying, like, as a black person, that's almost how I was feeling. Like, I was like, I'm fed up of black people around me, around the world dying, and I'm like, every time I'm feeling it, I feel numb now. It's like, it's just a bit too much. You know what I mean? It's just a bit much. I just want to numb it, and the feeling of being guilty for feeling like I want to numb it. So I was like, but I actually don't have that. I don't have that. I don't have the liberty of just numbing the pain. I should feel it.
It's where we grow from, though. The more you feel, the more you heal from any experience in life. And I was watching a small 2-minute video the other day of our 5 natural emotions, and it was explaining like love left repressed turns to possessiveness, anger turns to rage, envy turns to jealousy, grief turns to depression, and there was another one in there. I'll put it in. I'll put a little clip in.
Yeah.
But it was there, and this philosopher or psychologist, he was just explaining the answer isn't to turn off these emotions and try and pretend they don't exist, but the more looking directly at them, appreciating them for what they are. They're all natural, they're all inside us, but if you start feeling them, you can start to truly experience the human condition and truly experience that change of time. So even with the repression and with seeing injustice or looking in the exterior, looking in your social medias, but understanding it, looking at it, but not trying to work the cogs in your mind and in your head, but just feeling and using your empathy. What are they going through?
Right.
What are they experiencing? That's where we can start to learn the most and start to pick up on. And what an incredible message. But to be able to portray it through creativity, piece it in a song, build a massive sound as well. Whew. Dude,
Thanks, man. It's a huge privilege to do it.
All my props, man. I love you for it.
Thank you, man.
It's getting cold on this bus,
It's getting
isn't it?
a little bit
I think
chilly.
my heater turned off.
Oh, really?
Don't know what happened over there. You get that coat right back on. Come, might join you on that. In there.
It's a nice farm you've got here.
Thank you so much.
Love it.
Would you come and play on it? Would you come and we
Yeah,
do
man.
festivals? We have a busking session, everything.
Let's go.
What I like to put a busking sessions, get acoustic style stuff. We've had a band on here though. We've had about 6 on the back of here.
Wow.
And we managed
That's cool.
to do it. It's got that NPR vibe to it.
Yeah.
But I get one artist on who picks another 2 artists that they'd like to collaborate and work with. So yeah, if you've got any that you'd like to bring with you,
For sure.
that'd be. I'm so ready to just people back together.
Yeah, man.
Musicians, art, creativity, all in all.
Yeah, me too.
That was how we started up, really. With the buses, I was going into pubs and clubs. I got punched in the nose once for doing a poem at a pub, and I thought, I'm going to try and find another place to do this.
Somewhere safe.
Get out of the pubs. And, I got a bit fed up of just performing and preaching to the converted. So I go to sort of work in men's clubs and things. I'd be at a lot of hippie festivals, and they'd all be like, yeah, he's the man. And I've got a poem called, Is Immigration Killing the Nation? Trying to explain to us we live on a rock, hurtling through infinite space. And it goes on that tangent and path. And this guy at the end of it went, in the smoking area as well, I didn't like that. I went, all right, mate, I mean, it's just a poem. And he goes, I fucking hate you, and come and punch me on the nose.
That's crazy.
Let's go. Luckily for me, I did have my boxing days about me.
You're able to...
Not that I'm an aggressive type, but
No, you don't seem it.
you've got your things in your locker room if you need it.
Yeah, man.
It's a sport. And I got really upset actually after that, because the reason of doing poetry for a while and my authentic and genuine side was just I want to speak to people. I want to help, not this pattern of change, but I just want to make people think. And I think thinking is the most vital thing we can do nowadays.
True.
Laterally just thinking. And going to a place like that and having a scuff up, having a fisticuffs, and just thought, what are we doing? It was supposed to be artistic and doing something with it. So I got quite emotional after that.
Sure.
But from that, I did decide, right, I don't like going to places where, we're just talking over the art, because you know how much it takes to get on that stage from the most amateur level to the highest of elite level.
True.
And just somebody willing to get up there and showcase themselves, it's a powerful part of it. So I looked at getting, have you seen Wendy homes?
I haven't, no.
They're expensive, man. I looked at one, it was about 50 grand.
Oh.
And I thought, nah, I can't, my dream's over. I'm not doing NPR sessions. But me and my partner looked on Netflix, and there was this Tiny Homes, I think it was called, a documentary. But it was all just weird spaces. So there was boats and shipping containers. And one day this person did a double-decker bus and they were living on it. And I just went, Chrissy, there's something in this. I mean, that's not a bad space. So I went on a mission, and without maybe a week later, I was at the gym and I asked this guy to spot me, and I love talking to people and meeting and just seeing what they're about, and he looked a burly, beardly, rough fella, and I went, "You wouldn't know anything about buses or somebody selling buses, would you, mate?" And he went, "Fuck off." I went, "What? Why?" He went, "My best mate sells buses."
Wow.
It was such a weird meeting of minds, and whatever the universe was showing me that day. And literally the next day, after calling his mate up, me and Chrissy went to Liverpool and looked in this really weird underground yard under the M whatever it is. And have you seen Snatch?
No.
It's this, who is it? Brad Pitt, I think he's playing, and he's playing a gypsy, and we went to this yard, and it was all run down, and there was dogs everywhere, and I thought, we've been sold a lie here, but we kept going round, and this really cool, bubbly fella come out, and he's like, "Hey mate, I'm going to take you around to all these buses today," and we saw all the old Glastonbury buses, download buses, double-deckers, and everything, and it was like bus heaven. So yeah, we bought these, took all the seats out. It's been blood, sweat and tears.
Nice.
But I'm now I look at it and it looks more like a venue every day.
Very true. That's great.
I do get this beautiful feeling. It's wholesome as well. It's small, humble. We're not trying to be anything we're not.
Yeah.
But it's just the old farm. So genuinely, man, thank you so much for picking that up, and thank you for being here in general. It has been a pleasure. I really enjoy you and what you're about.
Thank you for having me, man.
Well, can I ask what else is coming up? Are you cooking? Are you building? I know there's going to be stuff in there. Now, you don't have to give too much away, but just let us know.
I this year I want to release more music than ever before. Just keep on building and keep on working on more music. So I'm working on music at the moment. Just when we release is TBC, but hopefully soon.
I mean, I will ask you this, because you've got a lot of talent, a lot of wisdom. There's going to presumably be quite a few young artists, emerging artists watching this then, because I would, if I was a young artist, I want to look at who's doing it and who's making it.
Sure.
What advice would you pass on to them, and what advice would you give them?
Wow.
There's been a lot throughout this podcast, but I know there's a takeaway for this and a few give outs.
For sure. I mean, I would consider myself a young artist, so I don't know how much I can
yeah, but the mind of an absolute G.
Advise another young artist. What advice would I give a young artist? I think I feel like if someone had told me to not care too much about the end result before you start, because I think sometimes overthinking the end result, which is I need to be here and I need to. It's like when I have meetings with like different like industry people, the question I always get is. So what's the plan? What's the dream? I'm like, the dream for me is like, I want to take this as far as possible. I want to sing to people and, wherever it goes, 100%. But I think sometimes when we have this huge plan at the very start, I think it's great to have ambition, but sometimes it hinders, where you're like, it almost stops you from starting. Because it feels too big, or even it feels like you're trying to fit into this one box very quickly at the very start. So I'll just say, like, make a start. Don't worry too much about the end. Make a start, and then get to the next bit, and get to the next bit, get to the next bit, and eventually you find yourself somewhere that you never would have imagined.
And running with that love and that passion of it, and keep moving.
Facts.
I've got so many friends that are personal trainers and in different fields, but I had a personal trainer on here yesterday, and he said something beautiful. It was just keep celebrating them many wins, mini wins, and it could be,
sure.
I've let my diet slip, and today I just had a litre of water of the recommended amount, and H2O guys, don't forget that. But just constantly celebrating those mini scale wins instead of looking for that next big picture all the time, and then we celebrate at the end. And like you said perfectly in this podcast, it can be a bit of a mirage. You can get to there and it's hollow. Have you ever listened to a guy called Alan Watts?
I haven't, no.
I'm going to send you him tonight. He's a really cool philosopher of ancient past.
Hey.
But it's always used in lo-fi tracks. Do you like lo-fi beats? And
a little bit,
I'm
yeah.
really into it.
I listen to a lot of lo-fi when I'm doing like reading.
That's when I'm trying to edit and stuff. I can't have Joe Rogan or somebody in the background. It's got to be sort of instrumental.
Yeah.
But South Park and Alan Watts linked up a long time ago, I think. But they made this animation. It's 2 minutes, and it metaphorizes life about music and saying if the point of the music and the best music was just to get to the end as fast as possible, the best symphonies would be a crashing chord. But that's not what music's about. It's about creating space and creating sound and joining in with the dance. Because I think in the UK particularly, and I know a lot of cultures, but with our education, we're set up and designed to live for the future, for the next, you know? Like you said about education and exams, but why we go to primary school even, and we were looking for year 6 exams, and you know, it's because then it gets you in a good stead for secondary school. But why are we going to secondary school? So we take these exams in year 11 that set you up for university or college.
True.
And then it kept going on and on and on about you're looking for this, looking for that, and then when you get this piece of paper at the end, it's because you get this special job. But you don't stop there. The job wants quotas, and you build your way up.
Facts.
And this guy at the top gets this big sack of money, turns it upside down, and it's empty because he forgot all the way it was a dance, and you're supposed to join in with a symphony.
That's deep.
It's absolutely stunning. 2 minutes. I'm going to send it you over.
Wow,
so playful, lovely little animation, but that's a real great idea with your music, with your creativity, with your passion. Just have fun with it, and when it gets serious, know when to tune in, be aware and take it serious, but be playful. Dude, this has been lovely.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
I've really enjoyed it. You're incredible.
Thank you so much.
Awesome talent. You are going places, and I can't wait to be that little dot in the back of the room one day, like, Jerub, remember me?
I appreciate that,
It's going to be
Thank
beautiful.
You so much.
Maybe
and
backstage
I love the merch.
with you. Oh,
That top
cheers.
is awesome.
Yeah,
the sew one.
Well, you've got a busking one.
Yeah, man.
We're in the process of getting some of these made and making them, so I'll send you one over as soon as we've got them. Do you like the colour?
Love it.
Yeah, what about the trousers as well? Are you into it? Maybe pajama bottoms though.
A bit colourful for me.
Do you want to see these guys? There you go. They're very colourful. Now, thank you so much for being a part of the Old Farm Bus, Back of the Bus Sessions podcast. What an amazing guest. Where can people find your stuff?
Jerub Music at Jerub, Jerub Music.
Is that on everything?
That's everything.
That's just all over the shop.
It's everywhere.
I would say go and watch the Grizzly Sounds. Where can they watch that? That was cool.
You can check that on my Instagram as well. Yeah, man.
I recorded there the other day for Local Healers. Do you know them guys?
No.
Hip hop band, really cool. But we're in that studio. But the sound.
Yeah.
Woo! So guys, remember what we say at the end of each podcast. You know what? Just be nice to one another.
Hey.
That's all you need to do. It's quite simple. Peace and love. Thank you for being here, brother.
Thanks, bro.
Pleasure.